Well, I think it's really all about enterprise sales, and the cloud is part of that. What they did was return to their roots whenever Satya took control of the company, when he was made CEO, and he did everything right. And I think he understood that that company was, although it served consumers via the PC and maybe Xbox, it was really a business-oriented company, and it brought it back to its roots, and it's been able to grow off of that.
You know, John, part of this race and part of Apple falling behind a little bit in this race, even though it's still on top, is Apple itself changing the conversation in terms of how they should be measured and what their guidance was for the fourth quarter, right? And it's amazing how this time around, analysts have really come around to a more of a bear case thinking in which they have to take down estimates and they actually are revising lower the ratings.
Yeah, Melissa, I mean, people are really emotional about Apple, despite the fact that it's become this kind of big, consistent company that's trying to get people to think more in terms of services and revenues that recur. It's still a hit-driven, product cycle-driven company in people's minds. And when they stopped reporting units and all of that, that certainly had an impact right now. But in a way, Apple and Microsoft are becoming a bit more similar, at least in terms of their size and strategic outlook on things and drive toward operational efficiency. I agree with the take on Microsoft, but another part of what Microsoft has done under Satya Nadella is finally figured out how the consumer and business sections of the business work together. Satya Nadella is not trying to make a bunch of money off of consumers. He's trying to make money off of the enterprise, but realizes that the richness of the consumer experience and the data associated with that is going to benefit John, that overall strategy.
That's interesting because maybe Apple realizes, okay, look, we can at least frankly name our price for the iPhone for enterprise, but I don't see any similarities between the two. Otherwise, look, Microsoft just pulled off one of the greatest turnaround stories of all time. I mean, this stock went nowhere for 10 years, and then he comes in and completely reinvents it with a whole new business model. And John Ford, I don't know how Apple could ever pull that off. What is their second act going to look like?
Well, part of it is that Microsoft's business wasn't entirely reinvented. I mean, their revenue and profit was growing nicely over that period, but people didn't believe the story. Part of what Satya Nadella was able to do was put cloud front and center and that strategy and show how Microsoft could actually work with other companies to make that strategy a reality. It wasn't like you had to believe in Microsoft or you could believe in other companies. You could believe in Microsoft and I think what you're seeing with Apple is something similar. Like over the past few weeks, we've seen some of the barriers come down, for example, between Apple and Amazon. Amazon selling more iPhones and other Apple products and services, as well as Apple Music. Apple is trying to be more of a big tent company and not necessarily all about the iPhone. We'll see how far they push that.
Yeah. Kim, when it comes to your take on Microsoft, I mean, part of it, as you mentioned, is it's sort of, I mean, John made the point that it is catering more to the consumer, but really its meat and potatoes business is in fact enterprise spending, and you sort of like that. There's sort of a defensive nature when it comes to Microsoft, when it comes to this landscape and technology where we saw some of the biggest cap tech names, mostly sort of social stocks, really take it on the chin in the month of October, especially as they're not only facing just a flood of money come out because it was the fast money trade, but also because of huge privacy concerns, which Microsoft seems to be insulated against.
Sure. Well, that's the beauty about having technology that serves businesses. If you are running your business on top of Microsoft, and by that I mean you use all of their Office products, it's very difficult to transfer that the way that is stored to another format, trust me on this, but more so if you've created custom applications, which many of the larger companies have done, it's very, very difficult and extremely expensive to move off that platform. For consumers, who cares really where you're getting your music from? You're not really even building a library anymore. You're just getting a service. So I think that's really the difference. Consumers are fickle and businesses really can't be.